Well, since the inauguration of Donald Trump on January 20th, for the second time, there has been executive order after executive order. It's been exciting. It's been interesting. There's been news every day. And well, we haven't covered all of it because it's honestly been too much to cover. But you can check out all of our other chats on the topics. We'll talk about plenty more to come, as it seems like Trump never sleeps and he will continue to do what he thinks is best for the country. Now, I don't love all of the orders, and I'm not sure I even love the idea of executive orders in the first place. It is a bit monarchical, but I also like monarchy. So if it's a good king or a good president, then I guess it's okay. But it is a dangerous, slippery slope that you might go too far. Anyway, there was one that really struck my eye, and it's probably one that most people scrolled by and thought that's kind of silly or that's not that important. But I actually think it's possibly the most important long term of all of his executive orders. And I'll explain why. First, I will read the actual order from the White House.gov, January 20th. So this was on the day he was inaugurated. Memorandum for the Administrator of the General Services Administration promoting beautiful federal civic architecture. I hereby direct the Administrator of the General Services Administration, in consultation with the Assistant to the President for Domestic Policy and the heads of departments and agencies of the United States, where necessary, to submit to me within 60 days recommendations to advance the policy that federal public buildings should be visually identifiable as civic buildings and respect regional, traditional, and classical architectural heritage in order to uplift and beautify public spaces and ennoble the United States in our system of self government. Such recommendations shall consider appropriate revisions to the guiding principles for federal architecture and procedures for incorporating community input into federal building design selections. If, before such recommendations are submitted, the Administrator of the General Services Administration proposes to approve a design for a new federal public building that diverges from the policy set forth in this memorandum, the Administrator shall notify me through the Assistant to the President for Domestic Policy not less than 30 days before the General Services Administration could reject such design without incurring substantial expenditures. Such notification shall set forth the reasons the Administrator proposes to approve such design. That's the end of the order. Now, there was a word, or this is the line in this that I absolutely love. Let me see, where does it begin? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, it's a very long sentence. It's pretty much the whole first paragraph. But anyway, federal public buildings should be visually identifiable as civic buildings and respect regional, traditional, and classical architectural heritage in order to uplift and beautify public spaces and ennoble the United States and our system of self-government. Ennoble. I love this. I love this. I love this. There are a few things that have happened in politics in recent years that I love more than this, because this shows me that the Trump administration is not just about even just answering promises, things that he said he would do. It's not just political. It's literally, he is going to the cultural side of things. He is saying, look, this matters. Beauty matters. Culture matters. What our buildings look like matters. And I tell you, this I want to show you. So brutalism has been around since, I don't know, I think it started in the early 1900s, and it really came into being very strongly after World War II in the 1950s. And you see it starkly in Europe. A lot of it in communistic countries. Brutalism, communism. Surprising, right? Anyway, the idea of these buildings, as I will show you here on the screen, is they lack any form of beauty. They're called brutal. They are brutalistic. They are ugly. They are awful. And in my humble opinion, they are demonic. I'm trying to show you others. Am I frozen here? These are some of the buildings just in Washington, D.C. I could have spent hours going through ugly government buildings. Everyone knows. Everyone in every country around the world knows about these buildings. Here in Germany, we're lucky in Bavaria that they have regulations against such a thing. But you go across the board 5 minutes in Austria, and you just have monstrosities, just ugly, just awful. And again, I would dare anyone to tell me why I do this, except to go directly against beauty, to purposely make something ugly. And as we know, of course, everything that is beautiful is godly. Beauty is God. God is beauty. And so anything that's ugly, well, yeah, it's not. I guess it's not. I'm oversimplifying it. I suppose if you're making a a meal and it looks terrible but tastes good, it's not that simple. I get it. I get it, guys. But the idea of creating something like this that is not naturally beautiful, and there's no other reason for it besides evil. It's communistic. It's this idea of showing this block form of government and mentality and lack of God. It is really quite literally atheist. It comes from communism. It comes from Russia. I've gone to these Eastern European countries and you can see it there. And I can tell you what else you can see is how poor they are. It's a terrible memory and remembrance of what has passed before. And I love that Trump understands that, or whoever on his team. I don't care. I don't care if it's not his idea. The fact that they're doing this, sneaking it in amongst dozens of other executive orders that do immediately matter more. Of course, I agree with that. But this idea that they're going to make architecture beautiful again, that's a shift in mentality. That's a huge shift. And they keep calling this Trump administration a revolution of common sense. And I think they're right. This executive order tells me they want order. They want common sense and they want to go back to natural law. I get it. They're not Catholic. They're not exactly what I want them to be. There's still many things to fix. But this executive order, above anything else they've done, anything, shows me they want to return order and beauty and to ennoble America. When was the last time you heard that word referenced with America? To ennoble America. That is a beautiful, beautiful thought. And I think Donald Trump and his team for ennobling America, doing their best to turn America into what it should be, a beautiful, prideful country that looks as it should. Tear down these monstrosities, tear them down, blow them to bits, and build something beautiful so that someone could look at a building and say, whoever's in that building, maybe they have a little bit of sense. And honestly, guys, I'm starting to think whoever wrote this executive order might have a little bit of sense. There's always hope. God help us.